So enjoying post-match by senior coach Zane Littlejohn. Zane, firstly, how do we make sense of that? The day itself, an incredible game of football, and then the finish, just remarkable.
Yeah, it's obviously not the finishes you want, but at least it was a finish where we were on the right side of the ledger in the end. So really positive. Look, I thought we played some really good footy through the day, and full credit to Geelong. Like, they played some extraordinary footy as well, and they're not in the top six just by luck and by chance. They're playing some good footy, and we knew we'd probably have to win the game a couple of times today, and ultimately we did in the end. So, which is really pleasing and a great reward for all the boys and their efforts.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It was a game that we actually had to go and win. They weren't going to roll over. They weren't going to give up. We had to go win the game. What do you think were the key aspects of our performance that got us over the line?
I love our toughness today. Look, the game didn't probably look exactly how we wanted it all day, but when you play good opposition, which we're going to come up against some great opposition in the next, really the run home. We're playing, all the teams we play now are sort of around the top 10 mark, and I think 3 or 4 of them in the top 6. So that's really exciting. But ultimately, when you play good teams, they take away your game. And that's credit to Geelong, and they took away our game for large chunks of the game today. So our ability to be tough and see the game out, what the game was asking us in those different moments, and ultimately execute and get the job done was really pleasing.
The big moment is obviously Finn McGuinness's goal, but arguably just as big in the scheme of things were some incredible defensive efforts in the last 2 and 3 minutes. How do you see the performance of the back six as a group, and then broadly our defence in the last couple of minutes?
Yeah, well, our back 6, 7, 8 all day held up really strong. Like, they had 50 odd inside 50s, and a lot of those were repeat inside 50s where they kept peppering. And I thought our backs, as I mentioned, stood up really, really well. Did they get everything right? No, and ultimately, again, that's okay. Football is a tough game. I'm not going to get it right all the time, but for large parts of the game, I thought they were really solid and really strong in that moment, which was great. And then he's just speaking about the last 3 minutes is probably the most proudest I am of the whole day. We haven't practiced that a lot, sort of save the game mentality and our ability to execute in those moments. And I'm just really pleased with the group. They did more right than wrong, I guess, in that moment, and that just shows, one, the education that these guys and their smarts around the game, which was really pleasing. And hopefully, ultimately, the longer the season you go, you're in more of those games. So we're really proud of our group to, one, execute in that moment, and 2, ultimately get the result off the back executing like that. But ultimately, our back 6 or 7 all day were really strong.
Football, in closing, football's a game where you can work really, really hard for no reward sometimes, and a big favourite of ours internally here is Ben Cavara, and he had a really, really good day, a really important day in the scheme of things. How did you see his performance firstly, and then reflecting the broader scope of the team as well? It's not all going to go your own way. Sometimes you're going to have to roll your sleeves up. You're just going to have to get the job done. Did that sort of reflect the broader performance of the team in some ways?
Absolutely, mate. I think how you put that there, sort of, it's not always going to go your way. And I think what we would have seen today from the 23 players who played, at some stage they had a real moment in the game, and just a real patch where, wow, that's their best footy and what their best footy looks like. Other players had it for longer periods, but some players just had it for a patch. And that's what I asked of them today, is when you have your moment, make sure you stand up and you execute. And ultimately they did that. That's probably Cav's best return, to be honest, since he's come back this year. Just collectively all-round game. He was dangerous forward, and ultimately brought pressure as well, which is what we really needed him to do. So great return from Cav, but more pleasing, as you say, that I loved from the day was the ability for all our players to have moments in the game and execute and showcase their weapons. And if we've got games where the 23 players at some stage are showcasing their weapons, and ideally that becomes longer periods, we're going to be in a lot of games and win a lot of games, because we've got some good football players at this footy club, and ultimately I'm really proud of them today.
And you should be. It was a wonderful result. We obviously look ahead now to Southport next week. Good luck, safe travels. We'll go again.
Thanks, mate.